Okay, first we have to deal with finish off with our dream interpretation. So we are in Yaakov, we're in Brachot 56b1, and it says Shaul ben Dama ben Achoto shel Rabbi Yishmael at Rabbi Yishmael. So Ben Dama, the son of the sister of Rabbi Yishmael, asked Rabbi Yishmael to interpret his dream, and he said, Re'iti shnei l'chayai shenashru. In my dream, I saw that both my jaws had fallen away. So Rabbi Yishmael answered him, Shnei gedude Rome ya'atzu alecha ra'ah. This indicates that two heads of the Roman battalions have plotted evil things against you, umetu, and they have died. Okay, so he had a dream, and the Rashi explains the jaws signify the mouth and its power of speech. In line with this, the removal was taken as a sign that those who spoke against Ben Dama had died. Okay, next one. So Amar le Bar Kapara Rabbi. Bar Kapara said to Rabbi, Ra'iti chotmi shenashar. In my dream, I saw that my nose had fallen off. Interesting dreams that people have. So Amar le, so Rabbi said to him, Charon af nistalek mimcha. This indicates that you had been threatened by anger. His wrath has now been lifted up from you. Which again, Rashi explains, he's giving the Rashi explanation number 3. The biblical expression for wrath is charon af, literally the burning of the nose. This idiom connotes anger because one's nose flares and thus appears hot when he feels rage, as breath is expelled rapidly from his nostrils. The person's vision of the loss of his nose then is interpreted as a removal of anger from endangering them. Okay, you understand what's going on? You see something in your dream, you think you are worried by it, so what you do is you ask somebody for the interpretation. Remember, the dream follows the interpretation, so you want to go to somebody, a good doctor of dreams, if you will. So Rebbe is looking at this person and saying, oh, so this is what happened. Fine. Amalei, so again, Bakaborov said to Rebbe, in my dream, I saw that two of my hands had been severed, they'd been cut off. So, Amalei, Rebbe said to him, Lo tistarech l'masiyadecha. This means that you will have no need for the labor of your hands. You will be wealthy. Will have no need to toil for a living. So here was basically a negative dream. You saw two hands being cut off. So Rabbi says, no, it's not negative, it's actually very positive. Fine. Amalei, Bar Kavor then said to him, okay, so now Re'iti shtei raglai sheniktu. So I saw two of my legs were cut off. So Amalei, again, he could have said something wrong. He says, no, al susatarochev. This means that you will ride upon a horse. You will have no need to walk from place to place. So he said in Talmudic times, it was usually only people of prominence who rode upon horses. The dream then it was interpreted to mean that Bar Kapar would soon assume prominence. Anyways, that goes on with the other one. So Chazei de Amrli, so Bar Kapar then related in my dream, I saw that they said to me, Ba'adar mitat. In the month of Adar, you will die. V'Nisan lo chazit, and you will not see the month of Nisan. That doesn't sound very good, right? The heavenly voice tells whatever he's talking about. He says you're going to die in Adar, and you won't see Nisan, which would make sense, right? Because if I die in Adar, which is 1 month before Nisan, that would be basically for your purposes. Daniel, if somebody would say to a person, you're going to die in December and you won't see January, well, that makes sense, right? If I die there, I won't see that. So what does Rebbe say? It sounds like a very bad dream. So Amalei, but Ruta mitat, this means you will die in glory, v'lo atit lidei nisayom, but you will not come to be tried by temptation. So they explain, rather than viewing Adar and Nisan literally as names of months, Rabbi interpreted them as symbolizing Phonologically related concepts. The Hebrew and Aramaic words for glory, hadar, and adruta, respectively, sound like the word adar. And while Nisan is similar to the word challenge or nisayon. Right? So he takes a month, he says the words can be something totally different. Fine. That's interpretation. Now, watch what happens here. We have Sadducees. Now, like I said, go back to the page I told you the mark on 54A4. What's a Sadducee? That's the question. Okay, you have it? Just move over that. Note 35. It's a long note. Well worthwhile, though. Okay, so the Sadducees were a heretical sect active during the Second Temple era. They denied the divine origin of the oral Torah and therefore refused to accept the authorities of the sages to interpret the Torah. They accordingly rejected a prime tenet of Jewish belief, namely of Techiyat Meitim, which was the resurrection of the dead, and asserted that human experience was in this world only, but not in the world to come, thereby denying as well the related concept of mankind's ultimate judgment in the world to come. To counter this heresy, Ezra and his colleagues revised the conclusion of the temple blessings to read from the world until the world. Thus, each blessing in the temple proclaimed the existence of two worlds. Okay, so that's who we are. Okay, that's who I won't go through the whole. I don't want to go through the whole note because it's talking about the Mishnah there. I'm just looking at the Sadducees. Sadducees, again, we have to understand, Sadducees, you had, in Roman times, you had basically four groups. You have the Perushim, which Pharisees, which is who we are. We're descendants of the Pharisees. And then you have the Sadducees, the Sadducees. Now, people historically, they want to argue that the Sadducees were really of the priestly group, the Kohanim, and so on and so forth, because they were the ones dealing with the Karbanis. So people want to always liken them to that. Not necessarily true. Again, it's just a matter of what do I believe. So now if you go back to Pirkei Avot, what is this sitter? Is it around here? Okay. You want to give me a sitter, please?
No, black one?
Yeah, no, a black one. And the Yashkol. In the Yashkol sitter, or any place that has Pirkei Avot, you go to the first chapter, and thank you, and you come to the first chapter and you go to the third, I think it's the third Mishnah, I believe that's what it was. Yeah, so you have this person called Antigonus. It says, Antigonus ish socho, Antigonus the man of Socho, Kibel Mishimon Tzaddik received the Torah, or received the tradition, the whole Torah, the whole tradition from Shimon HaTzadik, who was the last of the men of the Great Assembly. And Antigonus would say, Al tiyu ka'avadim hamashamshim arav al menat lekavel pras. Do not be like the servants who serve the master on condition of receiving a reward. Ella hevi ka'avadim hamashamshim et harav shlol menat lekavel pras. Rather be like servants who serve their masters not for the want of reward. Okay? So, you had two people in that class that day, Tzadok and Baitis. They were two people, Tzadok and Baitis. And they heard what Antigonus said, and they said, wait a second, wait. You mean if I serve God, according to you, I don't get reward, or I shouldn't do it for that sort of thing? Why would I work if I don't get paid? Okay? So they didn't hear what he was trying to say. And which is why the rabbis will another time say, to the rabbis, be very careful with how you phrase things, because you may send people off and to leave religion. So when Sadok heard this, though, that this is where it starts from. They start to get people to believe that the rabbis are making this stuff up as they go along. How are you? And So that's where the Sadducees start, right? So the Sadducees start with this concept of we're not going to receive the reward, so therefore the rabbis are making this stuff up as they go along, and if they're making the stuff up as they go along, so we don't have to listen to them. So only if it's something that would be applicable. For example, like I said, they were Kohanim. They were the priests. Some of them were the priestly class. Well, the whole temple service is all via oral tradition. How do I know how to kill it? How do I know how to slaughter the animal? That I have to cut the esophagus and the windpipe, kind of investion. I think that's how you translate these words. How do I know I have to do it there and with the knife that's without a nick? That's all oral tradition. There's no written tradition that says how to kill an animal. As a matter of fact, it doesn't say how to salt the animal. It doesn't say how to kosher the animal. There's nothing out there that does that. That's all oral tradition. And the sprinkling, how we do sprinkling, again, when you come on Yom Kippur and we go through the avoda, you'll see that it's the rabbis are telling us how to do it. But if you look in the Torah, it doesn't say how to do it. So if a person would want to convince me or try to convince me that the Sadducees totally rejected oral tradition, I would say it's an impossibility. It's just impossible. Could they reject certain things about oral tradition? Yes. They could reject Tzichis Meitim. They could reject the what do you call it? Revival of the dead. They could reject other things, Olam Haba, Olam Hazeh. That's not a problem to reject, because there's no real indication that would be something that I have to really believe in. Okay, and it's not a practical situation. You understand what I'm saying? If it's not practical, it's theoretical. So we'll deal with it when we get there, sort of thing. As compared to, I have to keep kosher. So if I have to keep kosher, I have to make it proper. In other words, if you go through all this the Sadducee stuff, they never said how, they never changed how to be kosher. As a matter of fact, if you update that to come to conservative reform and Orthodox, the reform will never argue, or conservative won't argue on what the laws of kosher are. You know what I'm saying? They're not arguing that. They'll tell you, yes, according to the laws of kosher, this animal is or is not kosher. This is a kosher product or it's not a kosher product. They won't argue on that. They will argue on whether or not we have to eat kosher. That's a different thing. But they're not arguing on what kosher is. Yeah.
They're arguing the spirit of the law, not the letter. They agree with the letter.
No, that's not even the spirit versus letter. The reform would argue that that it's not applicable anymore. That's all. That's what they're not arguing spirit. They're saying we don't have to follow it. But what I'm saying is they would never argue that if I'm slaughtering the animal, that they could slaughter it just as they could stab it and it would still be kosher. They can't. They're not going to say that. They understand that if the laws are there, it's in the Shulchan Aruch. It's not a big thing. I open up Shulchan Aruch, open up the Code of Jewish Law, I see what I have to do, I follow procedure, and it's good. If I don't follow procedure, it's not good. They don't change that. That's my point. So the Sadducees don't change. What you do change, what you could change, is the philosophical part. In other words, why do I have to keep kosher? Why? What is the concept behind it? So that we can disagree with. Or should I believe that God can control everything? Again, that's theoretical. It's in the world of theory. So in the world of theory, I can argue what I want to argue, because what's the practical part of that? There's no practical part there. If I want to believe that I'm in control of my life, even though it goes against logic, so fine, believe what you want. Is that really going to change what's going on or what the halach is? No. That's what I'm saying. The Sadducees could have argued on that. That's not such a big thing. What it does do when they argue on those issues is it sets up the disaster. In other words, once I start saying that A, B, and C are important, but D, E, and F are not important, I start picking and choosing. What's going to happen to the religion? It's going to fall apart. Because you say D, E, and F are important. I'll tell you D, E, F are not important. I'll tell you A, B, C is not important. Nor I'll tell you everything A through Z is not important. Why do you have to? That's why when you want to pick on this word of the Torah was inserted later. Well, if you're going to say that that was inserted later, so how do I know that wasn't inserted later? That sort of thing. So it comes down to, do I accept the tradition or don't I? And that's something that I have to, that's why it's Masorah. That's why it's a tradition that's passed on to me. I have to accept that the people passing it on would not lie to such an extent. Okay, because there's no way I can prove anything in reality. This happened 3,000 years ago. I can't prove to you that we were in Egypt. I can't prove to you there was an Adam and Eve. I can't prove to you that the world is 5,770, it will be 77 years old. I can't prove to you the world wasn't created yesterday, for that matter. Can you prove the world wasn't created yesterday, Daniel? Could you? Could you prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt? Think about that.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt.
There you go. The only thing you could say is, I remember I was alive yesterday, right? Well, how do you know that I didn't just implant those memories in you? You don't know that, right? So if I'm going to get into theory, that's my point. If I get into theory, then I can say anything. And you can't prove me wrong. Right. So you have to accept my word for that. Okay. So now we come to this. And listen what now. Remember how we interpret the dreams here. Cheeks are falling off, so on and so forth. It's very negative, and they do it positive. So now you have Amalei Ahut Sadducee, the Rabbi Yishmael. So now a Sadducee comes. Now you're on page 56b1. Okay, let's go back to where we were. So now here we go with that intro. Amalei Ahut Sadducee, the Rabbi Yishmael. So a certain Sadducee came to Rabbi Yishmael. And the Sadducee said, Re'iti sha'ani mashke shem l'zeitim. I saw that I was pouring oil into olives. So Amalei, he said to him, Ba alimo, he has evidently cohabited with his mother. Hear that? Okay. So what's going on? So he says, Ashkol is explaining. Addressing the Sadducee in the third person, Rabbi Yishmael told him that the dream reveals he committed incest with his mother. Oil is naturally harbored within the oil. Hence, if an olive symbolizes a mother, its oil symbolizes her child, that which grew in her womb. Feeding oil back to the olive then would represent the unnatural reversal of incestuous union. Now, based upon all the dreams we've seen, before I go into all the rest of the dreams, which only get worse for these Sadducees, why do you think that Rabbi Yishmael, do you think he just decided, I'm going to insult you? So I'm going to tell you, and you had incest with your mother? What do you think is going on here? Now, this is my theory. So I'm going to present my theory after you give me your response. I have no way to back myself up on this. But what do you think? Say it again, please.
He thinks that they're capable of that.
He's trying to think they're capable. Yes, 100%. He thinks they're capable. Yes. But why? Why is he picking up this post-Sadducee? Sadducee had a dream. I'm pouring oil back into an olive, and so he says, "Oh, so you obviously had incest with your mother." By the way, it's also past. You had incest with your mother. That's true. You don't like Sadducees. I want to say like this: when it came to Bar Hedya, it was a matter of, as we know, money. Either I pay you or I don't pay you, and I interpret it accordingly. Fine. He made a good living from that until he didn't. Here, when a person comes who is a Maimon in Torah, he believes in Torah, he accepts everything. So then Hashem wants him to see things that are going to happen and to protect him, if you will. Okay, so you're going to interpret it to the best possible way you could, because this person who is a Maimon in Torah, somebody who believes in Torah, Ma'amin b'Torah, so he has a different outset, a different outlook. He trusts Hashem, he trusts the Torah, he trusts the Masorah. So now he wants to know, okay, what is going on? Why is Hashem showing me these things? Because it's only for my best. Hashem only does things for my best. Hashem runs the world. So if Hashem's showing me something, it must be He's trying to tell me something. Understand? The Sadducee, do they believe that Hashem wants only their best? Maybe not, because they can hold by happenstance. They can hold by chance. If they hold by chance, then now they're having dreams. So they want to also have it interpreted. They know there's something behind a dream, but they're not sure what. But they're not they're not ma'amin b'Torah, they're not believing in Torah, they're not believing in the Masorah. They rejected that for whatever they wanted to. In other words, they picked and chose. So if I'm going to pick and choose, now the dream, is it necessarily going to come for my good or for my bad? Or is it just going to come because I'm thinking of something? Or I did something and now it's going to play out in my dreams. So Rabbi Yishmael is looking at the person from that angle. It's not what Hashem wants to teach this person, it's what this person actually did. That's where I believe that's where he's coming from. Because otherwise you could have interpreted the dream like any dream. You could interpret it properly. You're going to pour money after money after money. You'll have more money than you ever thought possible. Could have done that. I believe because he's a Sadducee and because he's rejected so many of the principles of the rabbis, that Rabbi Yishmael, knowing who he is, says, okay, so your dream is reflective of what you've done or will do. Okay? Amalei, the Sadducee then said, now let's go on. Amalei, the Sadducee said to him, Chazai dekatifli kolchava. In my dream, I plucked a star out of the sky. Again, what would you say that's for? I became the ruler. Plucked a star out of the sky. Oh, okay. Could be. So let's see. So Rabbi Yishmael replied to him, Bar Yisrael genavt. It means you kidnapped an Israelite. Why? How do you get that? Because Jews are compared to stars. He said, look to Genesis, where God declared to Abraham that his progeny will number as the stars of the heavens. So he said, plucked stars from heaven. Oh, it means you kidnapped a Jew. Amalei. I don't know. After a while, I think I would stop going to these rabbis because I'm identifying myself. What? Right. Okay. Yeah, you always have to wonder why they keep going back. So Amalei, Chazai divlati the kochva. In my dream, I also saw that I swallowed a star. So, by the way, let's go with this. If he says Bar Yisrael, if he says that I snatched a star out of the sky, and it means you kidnapped a Jew. So what do you think when it says I swallow a star? Let's put what? Cannibalized them. Okay. So Bar Amrale, Bar Yisrael Zavante. This shows that you sold an Israelite. You sold the Israelite you kidnapped. V'echalt demei, and consumed the money you received from him. Not that you killed him. Thank God he didn't think he'd cannibalize him, but he sold him, and so that's it. Fine, and you use the money up. Amalei, the Sadducee then said to him, Chazayeni dinashkan ahadadi. In my dream, I saw that my eyes were kissing one another. Yes.
How does that work?
You crossed your eyes. Amalei. So Rabbi Yishmael replied to him, Ba al achoto. It means he has cohabited with his sister. Okay, the kissing of two eyes, which are twins to one another, was taken to represent the sexual union of two siblings. So, I tell you, this guy should quit while he is ahead telling the dreams. Amrale, the Sadducee said to him, Chazid nashke sihara. In my dream, I saw I kissed the moon. So Amrale, now again we're back into space and kissing the moon. So Amrale, Ba al Eshet Yisrael, he said, you have evidently cohabited with a wife of another Jew. The moon, which receives the light of the sun and waxes and wanes throughout the month, is generally associated with femininity. Indeed, there is also a scriptural precedent for the moon appearing in the dream of a symbol of a married woman, in which Joseph saw in his dream represented his mother, Jacob's wife. Again, he said, "I saw the sun, the moon." The moon is representative of Jacob's mother, Joseph's mother. So Amalei, the Sadducee, further said to him, "Chazai darichna betuna da'asa." In my dream, I saw that I treaded in the shadow of a myrtle. Okay, so Amalei, Rabbi Shmuel said to him, "Ba al na'ara marasa." He has evidently cohabited with a betrothed na'ara. What is a na'ara? A na'ara is a girl who was between the age of 12 to 12 and a half, and she has become engaged. Remember, at 12, a girl becomes a bat mitzvah. From the ages of 12 to 12 and a half, she still is under the control, a little bit under the control of her father. Once she hits 12 and a half, she's totally independent. Then the father cannot marry her off. But as a na'ara, the father can marry her off. And so that's the age we're talking about. So she was engaged. She was already engaged to somebody. And this guy had relations. So, yep.
What is a marital?
A myrtle?
Myrtle. What is a myrtle?
Hadassah. The hadassah that you use in your the like a willow tree, but it's no, hadassah is the eyes. The right, yeah, the myrtle. The hadassah is and your lulav. You have the lulav, the long one. Then you have the willow. Then you have the small, the green ones. That's your hadassah. She says the Nara is a young girl on the verge of becoming a mature woman, like I just explained. Okay. Now, according to biblical law, marriage is okay. He's going to give this. So, with regard to biblical law, marriage is established in two stages. The former stage, the betrothal, is called kedushin. That represents the initial acquisition of the wife by the husband. In other words, if you look at our marriage today, we combine two of these ceremonies together. The first one, when we give the ring, when the man gives the ring to the woman, he says, "Behold, you are betrothed to me according to the laws of Moshe and Israel." That is what we call kedushin. You're not married yet. You're engaged. You're betrothed. Okay? That's when you become betrothed. That's when I initially buying the woman. I'm buying, what do you call it? Exclusive sexual rights to my wife. In other words, if she would have relations with anybody else, then she can die on that. Because it's considered adultery. It's considered adultery. Yeah.
Just semantics.
It's not semantics.
No, but just for what it said, "Behold, you are betrothed to me by the laws of Moshe and the children of Israel." If you marry, like it said before, when they're between 12 and 12 and a half, you marry them. You can still marry them off to somebody else.
He has to still say that. The guy has to say it. The guy has to, whoever's doing the acquisition, has to say, "Behold, you are betrothed to me according to the laws of Moshe and Israel." Okay, so he has to give her something of value, of a pruta.
The father doesn't say, "Behold, you are betrothed to so and so."
No. The guy has to say, "Behold, you are betrothed." Right. So he can say it to. Could he say it to? No, he could say it to his father. "Behold, I'm betrothing your daughter according to the laws of the law," and he gives him the money, and that's it. But the point is that's what I'm saying today. What we practically do, we go into the chuppah. I put the ring on. I say those magic words. Put the ring on my wife's wife-to-be's hand, and that is kedushin. Step one. She's not my wife yet. She's my wife that I would have to support her after the year. If let's say the engagement will last 1 year, which originally it would. So if after that and I still didn't marry her, I would have to support her. Okay, that's part of the deal. But that year was given so that we could get our monies together and go on. Okay, the second stage is Nesuin, and that represents the completion of the marital bond. So that's when you have the actual chuppah, we move them together, done. Okay. So the betrothed Nara refers to a Nara who was entering into initial bonds of marriage with a man. Adultery committed with such a woman is considered a particularly grievous crime, one that is punishable by a specially ordained penalty of stoning if she's a virgin, as opposed to strangulation, which is a normal thing for a normal penalty imposed for ordinary adultery. With respect to the Sadducees' dream, Rav Yishmael analyzed the myrtle seen in the dream to the bridal canopy. Such a canopy was customarily made of myrtle, and it was by way of entrance into this canopy that a betrothed virgin would complete Nesuin, the final act of marriage, thereby finalizing the marriage process. The vision of treading in the shadow of the myrtle thus signifies a violation of a betrothed Na'ara, a girl who anticipated entering beneath the shadow of a bridal canopy. I'll give you another piece of history too. When a man was born, they would plant in a certain town. They would plant, I think it was a cedar, and then the girl a myrtle or something like that. So when they would get married, they would use those trees to make the bridal canopy. And so some Roman person was going through the forest, didn't really care, didn't know about this custom, and started to take some leaves off the branch off the tree. The Jews got all upset and killed the person because you take away from it, make wedding canopy, and that started the war. That was one of the reasons that started the war. Yeah.
Not the whole sacrifice our animal thing with the. No, one reason wasn't.
No, that the sacrifice of the animals for Passover was for Hanukkah.
No, I mean no, not the for the two people who were enemies of each other, and one of them thought the rabbis were.
That's a different. That's also that's Tisha B'Av. Different thing altogether. Same. It's all probably the same time period. Probably the same time period. I mean, the temple would be destroyed ultimately. Right. So, yeah, that was all the same time period. Okay. So, Amalei, he said to Rabbi Yishmael, Chazai tuna, mi'ilai v'hu mi'tate. In my dream, I saw a shadow above me, and yet it was below me. Oh. Amalei, Rabbi Yishmael replied to him, Mishkacha hafuch. This shows your bed has been reversed. Your act of intercourse with that maiden was performed in a reverse fashion, which means the act of intercourse with the betrothed Na'ara was not performed in the usual manner. She was above, he below. Okay, fine. Amrale, the Sadducee then said to him, Chazai orve da hadre leporier. I saw that ravens were returning to my bed. Amrale, Rav Yishmael replied to him, Ishtecha zanta me'anashim harbe. Your wife has had many, she has prostituted herself with many men. Okay? So, ravens return my bed. You saw your wife is fooling around in you. Yeah.
Why say returned? That means ravens were there originally. They returned to your bed.
Oh, I don't know. This is an interesting question. Yeah.
For dream's sake, are ravens ever a good thing, or carnivorous birds ever a good thing?
Are carnivorous birds ever a good thing?
Right, like scavenging. When you see vultures or ravens or crows or something, things are usually sitting around dead things.
Well, the answer would be is a carnivorous animal ever good? The answer could be yeah, it could be good, sure, because we were compared. Yehuda was compared to a lion. So, sorry. Okay, even those, I could always see something interpreted to good, right? I could say what you saw was that you're going to clean up, your act will be cleaned up, all your sins will be carried away. I could do a lot of things. In other words, if I'm interpreting a dream and I see something that you would see as negative. And again, we said the nose fell off your face. And he said, oh, that means that divine anger has moved away from you. So think about that. I saw my cheeks falling away. That means that, that the people who were speaking against you died. Okay, fine. So it means that I can look at anything and interpret it to the good. I mean, that's really what you're saying. Or I can see good stuff and interpret it bad. I have the same dream interpreted two different ways. Right? That's what we're seeing. That was the story of Abaya Varava and Barhadia. I pay you, get the right. I pay you, get the right response. I don't pay you, get the wrong response. So you're seeing a whole bunch of that thing. Like I said here, and that's why I go back to it. The Sadducee or the Sadducees were somebody that were not because they didn't accept the rabbis anyway, which is also a question. Why are you coming? If you don't accept what we're saying, why bother coming to us? You shouldn't be such an idiot to really think that, unless you're just testing the water. Like, I'll give you an example. You go to the circus. So what happens? At many carnivals, at least in the old days, I don't know if they have them anymore, they used to have fortune tellers. You ever see that? Yeah? They had fortune tellers. So I don't know if they still do it. They still do it?
I think so.
Yeah, they still have fortune tellers? Okay.
We have palm readers.
Palm readers, fortune tellers, great. So what happens? I, as a lark, as a joke, go to the, not believing in Emma anyway. I'll tell you the truth, it happened. I went, when I was young, I wasn't bar mitzvah yet. I remember this. My bar mitzvah was right around the corner, as it were. I mean, it was maybe a month away. And I went to the palm reader. Now, all I remember the palm reader saying, and I knew it was a joke anyway, but all I remember, she looked at my palm, and she said, oh, you're going to be receiving money on June 22nd. I didn't want to break her heart, but I want to tell you, you're one day off. June 23rd is when I'll get the money. Because that's my bar mitzvah. So I knew I could be getting money. But I was thinking, wow, look at that. She's one day off, not bad. Now, imagine, well, it would have been even funnier. Can you imagine if I actually would have got a lot of money on the 22nd and 23rd? That would have been really good. Okay, but the bottom line is, somebody goes to there and starts saying, whoa, I didn't believe in you, but maybe there's something behind this. You knew I was going to get it around that time. It's still 24 hours. It's not such a bad call. She obviously got the wrong thing from my bloodline. I don't know. It was off one day. But imagine that. So here, I don't believe in it and I'm going. So it could be that this Sadducee is saying, okay, let me see what these rabbis can do. And again, in every single one of these things, he's always going, done. In other words, you already did this. Which is also scary because if I've already done it, again, why would I want to keep exposing myself to this? Each time I tell you something, you can tell me what I've done. If he would say, you will do this, it'd also be, why would I keep going back to you? But it's, like I said, if they don't accept the rabbis, yet they go to the rabbis. They normally would go to the rabbis to make fun of the rabbis. That's why you normally have these Sadducees going, I want to show you you're wrong. I'm going to show you that you don't know how to do it. But here he seems to be going, to find out, okay, so what happened? And, yeah. It could have been a morbid fascination. I don't know. But it's this very strange thing that you keep going back and back and back and back and back, and you don't want to, get it. But so let's go on. So Amalei. So the Sadducee said to him, Chazayoni dahadre lepori. In my dream I saw doves that were returning to my bed. So Amalei, again, that doesn't say why he returned. Nashim harbe timeta means you have defiled many women. And he says the dove is employed by scripture as a metaphor for woman. But Amalei, the Sadducee said to him, Chazai denake trei yone ufarchan. I held two doves, and yet they were flying away. Amalei, he said to him, Savt. This indicates you have married two wives. Upartinun below get, and you terminated your relationship with each without giving them a bill of divorce. Sadducees also had a bill of divorce. Wait, 1 second. Because that is a biblical injunction. So he says, under Jewish law, marriage may be dissolved only if the husband delivers his wife a get. And the imagery of the dream in which the Sadducee held the doves while they were flying suggests that in one sense his wives were still bound to him, while in another sense they were free of him. Rav Yishmael interpreted this to mean that the Sadducee who had abandoned his wives but did not legally sever his bond with them. By contrast, an earlier dream related by Rava depicted two doves flying freely. That is, they were not being held back at all. In that dream, Baradi told them he would legitimately divorce two wives. So we're having some consistency. Yeah.
So does a crow mean a man?
The reason, does a crow mean a man?
Does a dove mean women?
No, a dove is employed by the Torah as a metaphor for women. So crow is not necessarily. If the Torah would use a crow for a man, then you could say that, but otherwise not. Again, the Torah is using the dove as symbolic of a woman, so that's why they're saying that.
So how do you get crows from?
I don't know. I didn't say crow. Where did I say crow?
No, before
Ravens.
The wife has been prostituting.
Oh, ravens. Okay, so there's a raven. A
Raven.
For a man. The thing of the dream.
Yeah, it's I don't know. If you look at, if the word for raven is orev, so it could be, what's the shorish of orev? Ayin reish beit. Ayin reish beit, the mixture is the shorish of mixing. Yeah. So it could be that it's mixing, everything's mixing. They return to the bed mixing. So your wife, now I'm interpreting their words, but it could be coming from that. Otherwise, I'm not sure. Yeah.
Remember, in Noah, it was talking about when he sent out the dove and it came back with.
No, he sent out a raven first.
The raven, that's what I meant. The dove was only came back, but I forgot which one was it, a raven or a crow?
The raven went out, and the raven did not. The raven did not. It kept circling.
Right.
Kept circling. He didn't want to go on his mission because the rabbis say that the raven was suspicious of Noah. That Noah would want to take the raven's wife, so the raven didn't want to do his. Don't ask me on that. Don't. It's irrelevant to me. It's a midrash. I can't argue on midrash. I really can't. But that's why it says the raven went round and round and round. It didn't seem to want to do a shlichus. I mean, the simple understanding is that they couldn't find a place to land. But the question and the reason the rabbis. The reason the Midrash would say that is because Noah doesn't send the raven out again. It only sends out it doesn't send out a raven. It sends out a dove. So the question is, well, why would you change the bird? So obviously, the other one didn't want to leave or whatever it was. It's a suspect. Okay, fine. That's where they're coming from then. Yeah. So Amalei saw Chazai the Kalifna Bei. In my dream, I saw that was peeling eggs. Oh, come on, peeling eggs means you had a bad day in the kitchen, right? So Amalei Shach Ve Bei Mashlachat. You have stripped corpses. There you go.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Of what?
Could be clothes, gay robbing, or skin, Frankenstein.
What could it be?
Are you skinning at the bottom?
No, you stripped a corpse. So Imre Bina suggests that the egg symbolizes the dead because being perfectly oval and smooth, it has no opening or mouth. In this way, it is like a dead person who is similarly deprived of mouth, for he is incapable of speech. The imagery of peeling an egg would then represent the stripping of a corpse, not taking the skin off, just the clothes. Okay. Whatever, grave warming, whatever you want to call it. So Amalei, the Sadducee then said, Kulo idnubi, all these wrongs that you have imputed of me, I have indeed guilty of. Bar me'acha delete, except for the last one. That I didn't do. Okay. So he says, I didn't do the last one. Everything else I did, but not the last one.
Ha! You're wrong.
Right. Right. So the Gemara relates, however, that the Sadducee's protestation of innocence is in this matter actually false. Meanwhile, a certain woman came to and said to Sadducee, "Hi, Galima, the mechasa, that cloak that garbs you, the gavra poloni who demit, it belongs to a certain man that died, va'ash lachte, and you stripped it from him." So she cups them. She says, "No, you see that coat you're wearing? That coat belonged to Plony, and you took it off of him. So you lied. You did that too." So it appears that Sadducee initially interpreted Rabbi Yishmael's words literally, and thus protested that he never in his life stripped or flayed the skin from a corpse. In fact, however, the imagery apparently denoted a different act. The stripping of clothing from the dead, that is something that is, and this is something that Sadducee wasn't guilty of. So he interpreted like you. Okay, there you go. He said, "I never flayed the skin off the person." No, he didn't mean that. It means you stole the clothes. Okay, fine. So the Sadducee resumes recounting dreams to Rabbi Yishmael. Let's finish this up. So Amalei, the Sadducee said to Rabbi Yishmael, "Chazai da Amrli, in my dream I saw them saying to me, Shavak lach avuch nichse, your father has left you property in Kampondikia." And that was the land situated west of the Euphrates River in Asia Minor. During the times of the Tanaim, it was a Roman province. Okay. Amalei, Rabbi Shmuel said to him, "Itle nichse b'Kampondia." He said, "You have property in Kappadokia." I'll go with the Hebrew. Kampondikia. Okay. I don't know. So Amalei said to him, "Love, I don't. Azal avuch the Kappondikia. Did your father go there before his death? Did he perhaps die in the land?" Amalei, "Love, no, my father didn't go there." Im came. So then Rabbi Yishmael said, "If it's indeed so that you know of no property of yours in that land, nor did your father die there, then we presume that Kampondikia mentioned in your dream is a word symbol, a composite of two words, kappa and deka. So kappa to kishora. Now the kappa means a beam. Deka asara. The word deka means 10. Zil chazi kappa to reish asara. Thus, go look at the beam which is at the head of 10. Shehi malaya zuze, for it is full of zuzim. So he says, the beam in the hall of your coins. The beam in the wall of your house, it stands atop 9 others. I say, yeah? No, he has beams. I guess he has beams. Somebody hid, well, we're going to find out somebody hid zuzim, coins, in a beam of wood. They pulled it out and they would hide it there. Yeah. So he's saying, if you have nobody, and this is interesting, he listened to the guy's dream. And he said, "Okay, so is anybody, you have land there in this Kappadokia?" She said, "No." "Your father went there?" "No." Okay, so let's break the word down. So kappa means a beam. Dika means 10. So go look at the beam, which is at the end of 10. Well, 10 beams up, I'm guessing. And Shehi Malaya Zuzi. So the Gemara says, okay, what happened? Azal Ashkach Shehi Malaya Zuzi. Sadducee went and found that indeed the beam was full of Zuzim. So therefore, he made it rich that day. So finally, it was worthwhile telling the rabbi what happened. All it's showing you is that the rabbi was taking these dreams that this guy was having, interpreting them properly, each one of them interpreted properly. And if nothing else, the Sadducee should have realized he should do teshuvah. He should realize that the rabbis that there's something to this tradition, something to the Masorah. Of course, they never do. That's the point of the Sadducees. They never learn. Yeah.
Just for, you said it was a Roman province.
I'll say it again.
You said the
Kappadokia.
Was a Roman province.
It's a Roman province.
So, what could you got a home in a Roman province? Could the Romans confiscate his house? Could you also interpret the dream like that? Only you can interpret it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, if they. But they it's just like in America, they can confiscate your home if you're doing something wrong. So,
I mean, because so far it's been interpreted wrong, bad.
All right,
Bad.
so
So you could also interpret the Romans are going to take it.
by the way, the son, he never interpreted it bad. He interpreted it right.
Right.
That's the thing. He interpreted everything right. It wasn't bad. We see it and we say, "Oh my God, stop going to this guy." But the Sadducee is saying, "I did everything except for that. I didn't flay." To use your brother's words, I didn't flay the body. And the woman says, "No, the coat you're wearing, that came from a dead person. You took it off him." Oh, that's true. I did that. So, okay, since you got everything else right, by the way, so I have this one. I don't get this one. Oh, so I'll give you the interpretation. You understand? Okay. Good. We'll stop there.
Okay. Thank you, Rabbi.